Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Salutations to Ramana, who shines at the self in every being. We begin today's Saturday Satsang with the prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of Muktakatrayam by Sri Nandakumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Ekam aksharam hृदि निरन्तरं भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् अहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् त्वहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो अहं तत्तद्भावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो रधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति द्वयम् सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति Swayam. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We have the chanting of Upadeshasaram by Kumari Uma Shripati and Srimati Ashwini Balaji.
नमो रमण कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडम् कृतिमहो ददौ पतनकारणम् फलमशाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितम् नेच्छया कृतम् चित्तशोधकम् मुक्तिसाधकम् कायवाङ्मना कार्यमुत्तमम् पूजनं जपश्चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगतैषधी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृद्देवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्दत चित्तजं जप ध्यानमुत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्रोतसा समम् सरलचिन्तनं विरलतः परम् वेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाभिदा पावनीमत भावशून्य सद्भावसुस्थिति भावना बलात् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधश्च निश्चितम्. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. We are in the auspicious month of September, the month when Ramana reached Arunachala, and the Upadeshasaram today ended with that shloka where Ramana says, Vritsthale mana swastata kriya bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam, abiding in the heart, which is Arunachala itself. Arunachalame aham. Abiding in the heart is the true karma marga, bhakti marga, yoga marga, and the jnana marga. And Ramana being abiding at Arunachala in the heart and the physical presence of Arunachala has been a guru to the whole world and revealing this secret of Hridaya Vidya to every one of us. We are celebrating that month of Ramana coming to Arunachala, and this year it is very, very special because we are celebrating the 125th anniversary of the advent of Ramana. We continue the satsang with offering of Ramananjali songs. We have the first offering by Srimati V. Radha, accompanied by Vallabh. This will be followed by an offering by Savitri Krishnan and Jai Shri Ram.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we have selected a Namavali written by Sri Y.V. Venkateshwara Rao, and the music is by S. Rajeshwara Rao. This is in the Namavali format. Ramanudu chupina margamu, Ramanudu chupina margamu, Saralamu anusaraniyamu, Saralamu anusaraniyamu, Ramanudu chupina margamu, Ramanudu chupina margamu, Saralamu anusaraniyamu, Saralamu anusaraniyamu, Ramanudu cheppina vedamu, Ramanudu cheppina vedamu, Punyapradhamu pataniyamu, Punyapradhamu pataniyamu, Ramanudu cheppina vedamu, Ramanudu cheppina vedamu, పుణ్యప్రదము పఠనీయము పుణ్యప్రదము పఠనీయము రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము సరళము అనుసరణీయము స్వార్థ జీవులకు అర్థము కానిది స్వార్థ జీవులకు అర్థము కానిది సదాచారులకు సుగ్రాహ్యం ఇది సదాచారులకు సుగ్రాహ్యం ఇది స్వార్థ జీవులకు అర్థము కానిది స్వార్థ జీవులకు అర్థము కానిది సదాచారులకు సుగ్రాహ్యం ఇది సదాచారులకు సుగ్రాహ్యం ఇది మంగళప్రదమిది మహిత శక్తి ఇది మంగళప్రదమిది మహిత శక్తి ఇది అరుణాచల కరుణా కటాక్షమిది అరుణాచల కరుణా కటాక్షమిది మంగళప్రదమిది మహిత శక్తి ఇది మంగళప్రదమిది మహిత శక్తి ఇది అరుణాచల కరుణా కటాక్షమిది అరుణాచల కరుణా కటాక్షమిది రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము సరళము అనుసరణీయము రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము సరళము అనుసరణీయము సరళము అనుసరణీయము రమణుడు చెప్పిన వేదము రమణుడు చెప్పిన వేదము పుణ్యప్రదము పఠనీయము పుణ్యప్రదము పఠనీయము రమణుడు చూపి మార్గము రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము సరళము అనుసరణీయము సరళము అనుసరణీయము స్వార్థ జీవులకు అర్థము కానిది స్వార్థ జీవులకు అర్థము కానిది సదాచారులకు సుగ్రాహ్యం ఇది సదాచారులకు సుగ్రాహ్యం ఇది మంగళప్రదమిది మహిత శక్తి ఇది మంగళప్రదమిది మహిత శక్తి ఇది అరుణాచల కరుణా కటాక్షమిది అరుణాచల కరుణా కటాక్షమిది రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము రమణుడు చూపిన మార్గము సరళము అనుసరణీయము సరళము అనుసరణీయము రమణ మార్గము
రమణ మార్గము సరళ మార్గము
రమణ మార్గము సరళ మార్గము రమణ మార్గము అనుసరణీయము రమణ మార్గము అనుసరణీయం రమణ మార్గము మహిత శక్తియు రమణ మార్గము మహిత శక్తియు రమణ మార్గము మహిత శక్తి రమణ మార్గము మహిత శక్తియు రమణ 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 నమో రమణ
హరివర గిరియన అమతరుమమ్మ அதிசயமிதன் செயல் அறிவரிதாக்கும் அறிவர் சிறுவயதது முதலருணா சலமிக பெரிதென அறிவினிலங்க அறிகிலன் அதன் பொருள் அது திருவண்ணா மலையென்ன ஒருவரால் அறிவுற பெற்றும் அறிவினை மருளுரு தருகி நிழிக்க அருகுரு மமயமித சரம கண்டேன் கருணையால் என்னை ஆண்டனி எனக்கு உன் காட்சி தந்து அருளிலை என்றாயிருள் உலகில் எங்கியே பதைத்து உடல் விடில் என்றதி அருணனை காணாது அலருமோ கமலம் அருணனுக்கு அருணனா மண்ணில் அருணனில் சுரந்து அங்கு அருவியாய் பெருகும் அருணமாமலையனும் அன்பே ஊழியில் வாழும் மக்களில் என்பார் ஊதியம் யாது நீ பெற்றாய் ஊதியம் யாது நீ பெற்றாய் பாடினில் வீழாது ஏழையை காத்து உன் பதத்தினில் இருத்தி வைத்தனையே உன் பதத்தினில் இருத்தி வைத்தனையே ஆழியான் கருணை அண்ணலே என்ன அகமிக நாடனன் ஈடுமார் வாழினி அருணாச்சலா உன்னை வாழ்த்தி வாழ்த்திட தாழ்த்துமென் தலையே வாழினி அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலா நீ வாழி.
ஓம் நமோ பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய.
Namo Ramana. In the song which Savitri Krishnan and Jai Sri Ram sang, Bhagavan says that he was born with this constant throbbing of Arunachala in his heart, and he had this feeling that it was something very, very glorious, but he did not know the completeness and the fullness of this power which was shining within him. And later, a relative came to his house and told him that Arunachala is a place on earth. Yet, he did not understand the full import of Arunachala. Only when he was drawn to that Arunachala, which was shining in his heart as a boy of 16 on July 17th, 1896, he realized what Arunachala was, and that very same Arunachala which drew him to the heart, drew him to the physical presence, and there he saw that Arunachala which is glorious, which encompasses the whole universe and which is beyond it, standing as a hill in front of his eyes. And that is the story of Ramana, and in the song which Srimati V. Radha sang, where although his journey towards Arunachala seemed arduous, with great difficulty he travelled from Madurai and reached Arunachala on September 1st, but he has made that path very, very easy, Sarala Margamu, and which can be followed by everyone, Anusaraniyamu, and this, the path is Mahita Shaktiyu. It gives us the power to do all and to do the sadhana and get back to our own true self, and it is Mangala Pradamu. It gives all the goodness that we require. We follow the offering of Ramananjali Sangeetam by an offering by Revathi Shankar.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. By the grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Ramana Suprabhatam. Last week we had seen the first verse. I repeat the first and continue with the second verse. Shrimat Sundara Sundaryoh Suputra Ramana Prabho Uttishta Rushishadula Kartavyam Lokamangalam. Shrimat Sundara Sundaryoh Suputra Ramana Prabho Uttishta Rushishadula Kartavyam Lokamangalam. Uttishtottishta Bhagavan Avartanagarodbhava Uttishta Shesharamana Bhaktanam Mangalam Kuru. Uttishtottishta Bhagavan Avartanagarodbhava Uttishta Shesharamana Bhaktanam Mangalam Kuru. O Lord Ramana, blessed son of Sundaram and Azhagammal, foremost among sages, arise to bestow auspiciousness on the world. Arise, awake, O Ramana of Tiruchuri, O beautiful one who abides in all. Arise to bestow auspiciousness to your devotees. Bhagavan, who was born to the pious couple Sundaram Iyer and Alagammal at Tiruchuri to give us all auspiciousness. Tiruchuri is the place of the great whirlpool which Lord Shiva came as Bhuminatha and protected all his devotees. We are all stuck up in the whirlpool of our thoughts. Bhagavan from within arises and protects us from this whirlpool and arises us to the auspiciousness. I present to you a song written by Bhagavan Ramana himself on his parents and this place, the auspicious place, Tiruchuri. Music by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. அன்புடையார்த்தம் அகம் அகலாமலன வரதம் இன்புடையாட்டம் மீடல் எனவென்றும் ஏழிற்சுழியல் அன்புடையார்த்தம் அகம் அகலாமலன வரதம் இன்புடையாட்டம் மீடல் எனவென்றும் ஏழிற்சுழியல் தன்புடை நீங்காதோளேர் பரஞ்சோதி தனிற் சிவமே தன்புடை நீங்காதோளேர் பரஞ்சோதி தனி சிவமே 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 தன்புடை நீங்காதோளேர் பரஞ்சோதி தனி சிவமே என்புடை அன்பீந்து இலகிட எந்த நீருதயமே பாவஹரி சூழ் சுழியற்பார் தொழுனர் பூமியன் தேவி துணை மாலை அம்மை சேர் பாவஹரி சூழ் சுழியற்பார் தொழுனர் பூமியன் தேவி துணை மாலை அம்மை சேர் சிந்தை தரும் மெய்ஞானி சிந்தையோ தன்னகமே அந்தி நீர்த்தான் அகலாதாரிடம் என்றுந்தும் கருச்சுழியும் திருச்சுழியல் சுந்தரன் என் தந்தை தாழும் அழகம்மை என் தாய் சுந்தரன் என் தந்தை தாழும் அழகம்மை என் தாய் சுந்தரன் என் தந்தை தாழும் அழகம்மை என் தாய். நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. Bhagavan in Navamani Male says that very same Arunachala gave him the birth as his mother and father, Alagammal and Sundaram Iyer. And that very same Shakti, before he could fall into the ocean of Maya, drew him and kept him at his feet. What can we say about the glory and the grace of Arunachala, says Bhagavan Ramana? We continue the satsang with reading and sharing by Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this the book reading segment of our satsang, we are starting the reading from a new book Forever is in the now, the timeless message of Sri Ramana Maharshi. Forever is in the now, the timeless message of Sri Ramana Maharshi, edited and compiled by Sri A.R. Natarajanji, our founder president, foreword by R. Venkatraman, former president of India, is published by RMCL. So we start the reading by reading the foreword by our former president, Sri R. Venkatraman. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi was unique among the saints and seers. He did not ask his devotees to undergo austerities, physical strains, and gymnastics, circumambulate the holy shrines, bathe in the holy waters, or delve deep into the Vedas, Shastras, and Upanishads. He did not deliver long discourses to audiences. Like Dakshinamurti, he taught his disciples by silence. Even so, for 4 decades, he clarified the doubts of every seeker, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or Buddhist, Indians or foreigners, the young and the old, the believer as well as the atheist. Fortunately, all these have been compiled as nearly as possible in Bhagavan's own words. Scholars, philosophers, writers, and thinkers from within the country and outside have written volumes on Ramana's talks with themselves as well as with other visitors. They throw light and lustre on his very simple teachings. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi set the thought process in motion by asking the seekers to put to themselves 2 questions. Who am I? And whence am I? The Vichara Marga, or the path of self-enquiry, is unveiled to the seeker of truth by these 2 simple questions. Adi Shankara, in the memorable song Bhaja Govindam, asked the same questions. Kastvam, who are you? Koham, who am I? Kuta ayataha, where from have I come? When study of scriptures affords knowledge, the enquiry into the I provides personal, direct experience. As one advances in this experience, he realizes self-knowledge. This is the unique contribution that Bhagavan has made to the Jnana Marga. Bhagavan modulated his expressions to suit the devotee and used simple and easily intelligible language and similes to the common folk, drawing out their thought processes. To them, Bhagavan gave the example of the consciousness of the self in sleep. To the sophisticated, he talked of self-realization. For instance, for Amritanatha's question, who is this Ramana in Arunachala cave? Bhagavan gave the answer, Arunachala Ramana is Paramatma himself, exemplifying what Krishna Bhagavan said in the Bhagavad Gita. Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Shayastitaha, chapter 10, verse 20. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. Bhagavan, in an interview with the British journalist Mr. Hurst and a Buddha Bhikshu, stated, everyone is an avatar of God. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna are all in you. One who knows the truth sees everyone else as a manifestation of God. I'll read that again. Bhagavan, in an interview with the British journalist Mr. Hurst and a Buddha Bhikshu, stated, everyone is an avatar of God. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna are all in you. One who knows the truth sees everyone else as the manifestation of God. Did not Krishna Bhagavan say in Gita, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mayi pashyati, chapter 6, verse 30. Whosoever sees me in all things and sees all things in me. Whosoever sees me in all things and sees all things in me. Such pearls of wisdom lie scattered in scores of books about Ramana, and it is difficult for one to seek them oneself. Sri A.R. Natarajan has again rendered a great service by collecting some of the best contributions of eminent writers and scholars in this volume entitled Forever is in the Now, the timeless message of Sri Ramana Maharshi. The title itself conveys that past tense is irreverent when used with reference into the teachings of Bhagavan. His teachings were, are, and will continue to be relevant as long as humanity lasts. Sri A.R. Natarajan has arranged the thoughts under three sections. So I did not read the scope of the book because the president himself had written the scope. Sri A.R. Natarajan has arranged the thoughts under three sections. Number one, the teachings. Number two, remembering Ramana Maharshi. Number three, the confluence, the merger of both the life and the teachings. Together, the book presents a harmonious picture of Ramana Maharshi. The first section is embellished with articles from spiritual giants amongst us, like Swami Ranganatha Ananda. Swamiji says, if you are hungry for truth, if you are ardent in your search, you will get fulfillment out of the Maharishi. And adds, the more we hear, the more the desire arises to hear more and more. Sri A.R. Natarajan has been a lifelong devotee of Bhagavan and has truly imbibed the spirit of Bhagavan's teachings. Besides being a devotee, he is also a profound scholar and writer. His commentaries on Upadeshasaram, Ramana Gita, etc. bear ample testimony to his depth of knowledge and felicity of expression. I am sure this book, which is a storehouse of spiritual wisdom, will be welcomed not only the devotees of Ramana, but by the entire world interested in the quest for truth. Before closing, I would like to refer to my first darshan of Ramana. It was in 1937. I was a young lawyer then. At this very first meeting itself, Ramana put me on the trail of the search for self-knowledge by focusing my attention on my true identity. Years have rolled by, but his impact on me has been indelibly there all the time. Shri R. Venkatraman, former President of India. We go on to read the introduction by our founder President, Shri A.R. Natarajanji. Introduction. Conscious immortality, while in the flesh, is the purpose of evolution, says Ramana. Quite obviously, it cannot relate to the body, for the body, made up of the five elements, dissolves into the elements of which it is made when its karmic purpose is done. The longest life is measured in terms of only 100 years. Ramana would sometimes humorously say that those yogis who claimed that a body could be perpetuated are not here to report its continuance. Sooner or later, the law takes its course. Again, Ramana could not be referring to the mind. For mental faculties to decay and wane, persons with prodigious memories are unable to identify even their own near and dear ones when infirmity and old age take over. Quite obviously, therefore, Ramana must be referring to that which vivifies both the mind and the body. It cannot refer to fragmented consciousness, but the fullness of consciousness, that which is always, is eternal, unborn, and undying. That which is ever there is timeless. In this state, there is no past, present, or future. So when we say forever, it is that state which is unaffected by the fluctuating fortunes of life. Ramana would always emphasize that this state is natural and therefore universal. By necessary implication, it is that which can be experienced by each one of us. If only we learn the know how of discovering it, we could experience that state. One might say that due to the constant movement of the mind, due to the constant conceptualization, we have lost the memory of it. This is something akin to amnesia. We are unaware of our treasure, the loss of which is perhaps not even recognized by us. Triggering of the memory of that which is hidden from us presently, that which is a secret because of our ignorance, is to be achieved by an appropriate method which would enable the experiencing of that state. Once that state is experienced, the joy of it is so overwhelming that it would automatically lure one back to the experience, back to experience it more steadily, to become established in it. A method means effort, conscious effort. It is because of this that Ramana used the expression conscious immortality. It is a state of alert passivity where outer actions and thoughts do not disturb the dynamic peace in which one is rooted. Forever is in the now. What do we mean? The now is not used in the sense of the present tense in contrast to the past tense or the future tense. Now refers to a timeless quality. It is an unmoving stillness. The flow of life in terms of our relationships to people, ideas, and events does not disturb that stillness. And in that stillness, the current of vast joy is always the substratum. The expression now has also to be understood from another angle. It is to say, it is not a post-dated check, not something that one has to wait for on life's end. It is that which can be experienced in this life itself, in flesh and blood. To use Ramana's expression, it is here and now. Ramana has provided us with a straight and easy path for the discovery of one's own natural state of eternity. The focus of attention in his teachings is on the mind and the spiritual heart. On the basis of his own direct experience, for which there is scriptural authority, Ramana locates the seat of consciousness at the right of the chest and turns it the heart. This center of intelligence is also the source of the vital force and the mind. All thoughts in their seed form are embedded here, are embedded there. The current of consciousness is pumped into the mind and from there to different parts of the body through channels termed nadis. The primary source of consciousness is only the heart. The mind and body reflect it as secondary and tertiary sources of consciousness. The heart is like the dynamo, the mind the electric switch, and body the bulb. The heart is like the dynamo, the mind like the electric switch, and body the bulb. The mind and body are not independent sources of intelligence, and without their linkage to the heart within, they would be inert and lifeless. Next, one has to have an in depth look at the mind. For until we learn to operate directly and intuitively from the sunlight of pure consciousness, the heart, ours is merely a mental world. What is the nature of mind? Are there two, the individual and his mind? Or is the individual himself the mind? All along, the assumptions of most spiritual practices is that individual and the mind are separate. for one is seeking to control the mind. This would mean that there is the individual, the thing controlled, and the act of controlling. Is it not? Ramana says that the basic fallacy is a falsity. The basic fallacy is in this assumed division. That which is termed the mind is only varied and innumerable thoughts with a core, the center, the individual. It is the individual's attention to a particular thought which gives life to it. This must be so because, given the fact of the existence of an army of thoughts, only a particular thought, that to which the individual has paid attention, is on the thought horizon at any given point of time. Therefore, the key to understanding of the mind lies in keeping the searchlight focused on the individual. What would such a searchlight reveal? It would reveal addiction to movement from thought to thought, like the wind which is constantly blowing. This situation arises because of the thought thrust and the weight of the tendencies embedded in the heart. They keep sprouting depending on the outer circumstances. Attention of the individual is on these thoughts, which are in a constant flux and is never therefore single focused. It is scattered. Where does the solution lie? So long as we keep paying attention to individual thoughts, or as Ramana would say, so long as we run with the running mind, we are foredoomed. For unless one tackles the thinker to whom thoughts relate, one would only be substituting thought A for thought B, desire C for desire D, and so on. You can never switch off thoughts unless you learn to pay attention to the individual and not to his thoughts. I'll read that portion again. Attention to the individual is on these thoughts which are in constant flux and is never therefore single focused. It is scattered. Where does the solution lie? So long as we keep paying attention to individual thoughts, as Ramana would say, so long as we run with the running mind, we are foredoomed. For unless one tackles the thinker to whom thoughts relate, one would only be substituting thought A for thought B, desire C for desire D, and so on. You can never switch off thoughts unless you learn to pay attention to the individual and not to his thoughts. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the self-inquiry session by Dilip Simhaji. Ramana giving us the path to get back to that state of being forever in the now. I request Dilip Simhaji to conduct self-inquiry session.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tambraravindekshana Bhaktabhishtavarabhayapradakaram Kaupinamatrojvalam Swatmanandarasanubhuti vivasham Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जताव पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. Namo Ramana. We'll commence today's evening Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. I'll be reading from Guru Vachaka Kovai from the chapter Investigation into the Truth, and the topic that has been blessed for the evening is the greatness of the Guru. Verse 284. Like a deer caught in the jaws of a tiger, those who are trapped by the Sadguru's Gnana bestowing glance of grace will never be abandoned. Rather, they are destined to lose their individuality, their restricted nature, and attain liberation. Bhagavan, from letters from Who Am I, says, God and Guru are in truth not different. Just as the prey that has fallen into the jaws of the tiger cannot escape, so those who have come under the glance of the Guru's grace will surely be saved and will never be forsaken. Yet one should follow without fail the path shown by the Guru. The deer here is the sense of individuality which limits one to the body or continuously creates division in the mind. This ego, when it is caught by the glance of grace of the Guru, when the Guru's glance falls upon any person, no matter what his past might be, moment the glance of the grace falls on him, he is equal to have been caught by a tiger. And the deer, that is the ego, has no more the chance to escape. It simply has to be swallowed by the tiger, will be swallowed by the tiger, and henceforth what we know as tiger is nothing but many such deers that has been consumed by it and shines or roars and lives by itself. So is the Guru, the God. He has consumed innumerable individual notions because he is the truth behind everything. Therefore, because he is the truth behind this individuality, Bhagavan says finally that though no disciple will be forsaken, but the sadhaka should still continue without fail the path shown by the Guru. So, until the tiger consumes us, and which will be very clear when it has been consumed, because there is no more deer, no more that individual notion. Until such time, the path that has been shown by that Guru, by his grace, should be done. And for us who have been treading in this path of Bhagavan, though the path is very simple and straightforward, every time a thought rises within us, and no matter how many thoughts rises within us, and no matter what kind of thought that it may be, whether it is the good thought, the bad thought, or the most ugliest, or even the spiritual thought, all we need to do is diligently inquire to whom is this thought. And moment we inquire, it becomes very clear this thought is for me, the individual. Therefore, the deer, which was thinking, which is in the process of thinking, becomes available. To whom it becomes available? When we ask the question, who am I? And turn our attention to the source, which is the reality for this I thought, or this individual notion. What do I refer to as I, or where from this thought I rises within me? When we turn our attention to that source, then we see the grace of the Guru, the tiger that has caught us. And all we need to do is stay in that grace, and Bhagavan assures in time the deer, the ego, individuality will be completely swallowed. And then rather we see the tiger alone is there. The immense grace of Bhagavan with which alone we could have come to this direct path, with which alone we could get this wonderful instruction until the tiger swallows. Please keep following the path shown by the Guru. Let us do Atma Vicharam for the next 10 minutes. Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Thank you all. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We continue the meditation on the self through the work Hasta Malakam, written by Adi Shankaracharya, and the answer given by Hasta Malaka, which has been documented in that format. This has been translated to Tamil by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi himself, which provides us the path of self-inquiry. I request Sri Venkatesh Pandeyji to meditate on this work and share his insights.
Dakshinamurtisarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhasha Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punaha Punaha Oh. We're doing manana on the Hastamalaka. In the last session, we did manana on the verse number 7. So a doubt can be raised here. If the Atman cannot be perceived by the mind and senses, then how can it be realized at all? If the Atman cannot be perceived by the mind and senses, how can it be perceived at all? To refute this view of atheism and to establish the theory of Vedanta, Hastamalaka clarifies in the verse number 8. I request Sapna to kindly chant the verses, please.
Yes, sir. य एको विभाति स्वतः शुद्धचेताः प्रकाशस्वरूपोऽपि नानेवधीषु शरावोदकस्थो यथा भानुरेकः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा य एको विभाति स्वतः शुद्धचेताः प्रकाशस्वरूपोऽपि नानेवधीषु शरावोदकस्थो यथा भानुरेकः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. Just as one sun reflected in various spots filled with water appears differently, that which shines by itself to the pure-minded, being self-luminous, though one, appear as many and different in different intellects, I am of the nature of that ever-existing Atma. Which is the one and shines? The sun illuminates the whole world and remains self-effulgent. Atman is to be understood in the same way. In the light of consciousness, the whole world is perceived, but blinded by their atheism, some people do not accept the presence of Atman. Just as one who is blind by birth cannot see the mother who looks after him. The sun appears as many when reflected in several pots. The Atman appears as many in different intellects. The appearance of one Atman in many forms is explained by Hastamalaka with the example of the sun reflected in many pots. The sun is one, but its reflections are as many as the pots. The image appears to be disturbed if the water in the pot is shaken, but the sun remains unmoved. The Atman reflected in the mind is Jiva. Minds are different according to their vasanas, which are the impressions on the mind from past actions. Just as the reflection of the mind depends on the nature of the water, reflection of the one pure Atman is different in different minds, and so on, depending upon their moods. Clear reflection is possible only in a quiet and pure mind. Beautifully said by Hastamalika. So even if the pots are all filled with water and the sun is shining, but you disturb some of the put a couple of stones in some of the pots, what will happen? There will be ripples in those pots. And how will the sun look like? The sun in the pot will also look disturbed. So exactly the same thing. The Atman will shines, and what happens is the vasanas and the ichhas that we have actually disturb the mind. So then what happens? The way the world of names and forms appear, and that's why it looks a little disturbed. Exactly the same thing. It's a beautiful example which shines by itself to the pure minded. Just as if the reflecting surface is clean and steady, the image is brighter. In a mind which has relatively less agitations and has nobler thoughts, the glory of the Atman is revealed the most. Ignorance of the self causes non apprehension of reality, leading to its misapprehension. Ignorance of the self causes non apprehension of reality, leading to its misapprehension. Ignorance of the self veils the intellect, resulting in agitation and doubts in the mind. The person considers himself to be the body, and his pure mind prevents him from getting even glimpses of the self, which is just behind every mind. The impure mind, preoccupied with attachment to near and dear ones, cannot contemplate on the self. Therefore, the Vedas insist on sadhana for purification of the mind intellect. Like also Swami Shivananda used to say, serve, love, give, purify, purify. The whole thing is, the whole process of all sadhana is only purification. Action without any selfish motives, undertaken in the spirit of dedication to the Lord, can bring about purification of mind by removing impurities and agitations. This leads to increase in virtues like dispassion and discrimination. A seeker of truth with such a pure heart approaching in attitude of surrender can be enlightened with knowledge imparted from the Guru. Also, sadhana chatushtaya is necessary for assimilation of knowledge of the self. A pure heart can be defined as one which is completely devoid of any thoughts about wife and wealth arising out of attachment to them, thus making it fit for easy access to self realization. The Sadguru is one who does not command superiority, who is not unduly proud of his knowledge, who is not interested in worldly acquisitions, who is in the body but not attached to it, who can develop the same dispassion in his disciple, and who considers all men and women equal. So a great one sees the same. So the same God is in the same proportion if he is an ant or if he is in an elephant or if he is in a human being. It's not that in an ant the reality is small and the elephant the reality is same. The proportion is absolutely the same. A disciple with sufficient dispassion, eager to know the self, serving the Guru in an attitude of surrender, considers him to be the supreme Brahman. The Lord is blessed with knowledge of the self. Such self realization leads to liberation of the disciple from bondage of doership, and with the blessing of the Guru, he becomes a Jivan Mukta. Even the Gita supports this. So, this state of experiencing the self is not achieved merely by reading about it from books and having discussions on it. It calls for a very subtle intellect enriched by discrimination and dispassion, just like a very minute ant is capable of picking up scattered grains of sugar from the sands of a desert. So Bhagavan says very important thing, the state of experiencing the self is not achieved. So it's serve, love, give, purify, meditate, and realize. So you have to meditate, you have to do the sadhana, you have to do self inquiry, you have to do surrender. If you do that, that's very, very important to be able to realize. So the ant, he says, is capable of picking up scattered grains of sugar from the sands of a desert. So the ant has to go to the sugar and pick it up. So the practice is very important. The example of an ant here indicates that while making the intellect subtle, one has to make oneself very small and humble by subduing the ego. One has to belittle oneself and should be ready to accept contempt happily, even from low and ignoble people. So you should make yourself so, they say you should make yourself like a blade of grass. A blade of grass, what happens? It gets trampled, everything happens on it, but it automatically comes back straight and again is shining. So exactly the same thing. We have to make ourselves really small. Like my Guru Swami Chidananda used to say, I am the servant of servant. I am the servant of Swami Shivananda, and he used to always call himself a servant. When he called himself a servant, you are making yourself absolutely the lowest form of a human being. So when you look at the world from there, it is a beautiful experience where everything is greater, everything is great. And then what happens is ego does not bother you anymore. And even if somebody says anything against, it does not matter because you are so humble. Some people do not believe in Jivan Mukti, but in Videha Mukti. If death of the gross body is considered as liberation, then it would mean that even pigs and dogs are liberated after death. It would not be possible to get a realized living guru, but there are examples of sages who have lived as Jivan Muktas, like Sukacharya, sage Ambarasya, Bhakta Prahlada, Narada Muni, and sage Vashishta. Sage Vashishta said, O Raghava, because of which you come to know about the shape, the taste, the sound, and the smell, know thyself to be the Atman, Parabrahman, the Supreme Lord. Now, if you are able to hear something, if I am able to speak, it is because of the Atman. If you are able to hear, it is because of the Atman, the consciousness. We need to understand this very clearly. The feeling of pleasure obtained apparently from the objects is also due to the self. In all perceptions, actions, enjoyments, and suffering, the Atman is present, but without being the doer and enjoyer. The one who identifies with that state is a Jivan Mukta, even while living in the body. Knowledge of the self is nothing new, but it reveals itself when the veil of ignorance covering it is removed by the Guru according to the teachings of the scriptures. When the clouds are carried away by the wind, the sun reappears from behind. For a man of perfection, Jnani, who has realized that he is the self and not the body. Birth and death do not matter. He continues to serve society as long as the body is destined to work. Hastamalaka says that I am of the nature of that ever-existing Atman. Hastamalaka, having conveyed this identity as Atman, seeing the Acharya, Shankaracharya, visibly pleased, continues further to clear a doubt. What's the next doubt that comes? How can one Atman illumine various intellects simultaneously? The next question that comes, how can one Atman illumine various intellects simultaneously? Though one charioteer cannot ride many chariots at the same time. So this clarification Hastamalaka will give in the next verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Thank you.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with sharing by Dr. Kalarani Rangaswamy. She has been meditating on the Devika Lotram Jnana Vichara Padlam. I request her to continue her manana on that one.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Arunachalamena agame ninaipavar agathai veraruppai Arunachala. Namo Ramana to all. With the abundance grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very graciously given to us by Bhagavan in Tamil. And the last satsang we saw, Pujai Vanakkam Purijabam Chintanam Acharipadi Yedum Angu Illai. Any karma done with ahankara is not going to show the path of mukti. Once Narada was very proud that there was no one other than him doing Narayana Japa. He wants to confirm this fact with Narayana himself. So he went to Vaikunta and asked Narayana, Hey Prabhu, who utters your name Narayana more number of times in this universe? You lost your net. Super.
Okay, your video alone is off. We can hear you.
Shall I continue?
Yes,
Lena, I'll come in the phone. No problem.
Okay, we are able to hear you. Please switch on the video.
Namo Ramana. So I'm continuing. So Narada wants to confirm it. So he went to Vaikunta and asked Narayana, who utters your name more number of times in the universe? Thinking that Narayana will be saying, who else Narada? It is you alone. But what is surprise? Narayana said, go to Bhuloga, and at the particular village, a peasant is there. He is uttering my name most of the time. Go and see him. Narayana was confused, but still he went to that village, and the peasant was sleeping. Narada waited there. When peasant got up, he uttered, "Oh Narayana." Narada started counting. Oh, this is the first time he has uttered Narayana's name. Then after a long gap, when the peasant started for his work, putting his plough on his shoulders, he said Narayana. Narada said, oh, second time. Then the peasant did all his work, came home, had his dinner, and while going to bed, he said Narayana. Next moment, Narada was in Vaikunta. What is this, Narayana? The peasant uttered your name only 3 times that in one day. But I am doing japa of Narayana always, isn't it? Narayana asked, how many times you uttered my name today? No, I was busy counting how many times the peasant was doing the japa. Just for the sake of counting, you forgot to do japa of my name. But see, that poor peasant, he has to do lot of work, but still he do the japa 3 times a day. Don't you think he is better than you? Narada felt ashamed. For doing puja, japa, dhyana, one needs mind. And these karma can be done only with the mind. And the existence of the mind, or ego, whatever we may call, that forbids one from attaining moksha. Because only when mind gets destroyed and merges with the self, one can realize the self. Once Bhagavan was not well for a number of days, medicines given were not responding, and devotees could not see Bhagavan like this. Bhagavan, there was no difference in Bhagavan actually, but devotees felt very bad of seeing him like that. One of the lady devotees said, Bhagavan, why can't you cure yourself? Bhagavan said, if I want to cure myself, first of all I must think about my illness and then cure myself. But for that, I must have a mind to think. மனசுன்னு ஒன்னு எங்க வச்சு வாழ்றது? These are the words uttered by Bhagavan. Where is the mind for me to think about my illness? Bhagavan was very clear in teaching here that to realize soul and one should not have any mind. The realized soul doesn't have mind at all. Only with the mind, one discriminates between various objects. I like this object. No, I don't want to like. I don't want this the object and don't want this object. Only with the mind, the desires creep in. Only with the mind, one thinks he is doing puja elaborately, taking 2 hours and 4 hours like that. After meeting, say for example, I'll tell you an instance. After meeting Sita Devi at Ashokavana, Hanuman, while returning, was very thirsty. He was very thirsty. So he wanted to hand over the chudamani given to him by Sita Devi and go to the river and drink water. He saw a sadhu there and said, can you please keep this chudamani safely? This is very important jewel. And I will drink water and come in just 5-10 minutes. And sage said, okay, put that jewel in that bowl, that Tiruvode, we say that begging bowl. Actually, Hanuman felt little bit proud at that time that he has found Sita. God wants to bring him out of this feeling, this ego. So, what happened? After drinking water, he came to the sage and asked for chudamani. The sage said, it will be there in that bowl only. You had put that chudamani in that bowl only, no? See there and take it. To Hanuman's surprise, there were so many identical chudamanis in that bowl. He cannot identify which one was Sita's. Hanuman got confused. The sage, and he asked the sage, I can't understand, I can't identify the chudamani which I have put. Oh, what to do? The sage said, many Hanumans are coming and they are putting many chudamanis into the bowl and they are all identical. What to do? Hanuman's ego disappeared at that gesture. So, for doing karma, only one needs mind. And that is why Bhagavan says, the person who wants only moksha need not waste time in doing puja, japa and the like, which needs mind. Instead, take up the direct path of Anma Vichara. Pujai, Vanakam, Puri, Jabam, Chintanam, Acharippada, Angu Yedum Ille. But we must remember, this Upadesa is given by Bhagavan is for the person who has no thought except getting moksha. And others cannot leave puja, japa and rituals. Once Ramachandra Brahmachari was not taking his food. When asked why, he said, Bhagwan, today it is my mother's Tithi and I am observing Bharata. Bhagwan said, you had come here. No. There is no need to observe Viratham and all. Come, eat 2 more extra idlis today. Watching this, another devotee, he was actually a lawyer, also left performing his rituals like tithi, giving tithis to his ancestors. One day, his relatives who visited ashram complained about it to Bhagavan. They said, this person is not doing any tithi for his parents. And next time when the lawyer devotee came to Bhagavan's darshan, Bhagavan asked him, why he is not performing tithi for his parents? He said, yes, Bhagavan, I heard you telling on that day to Brahmachari that we need not do any tithi, observe any rituals. So on that day itself, I left everything. Bhagavan said, he has left everything and he has come here and he has no other thought except other than to get mukti. He has completely surrendered. But that, what have you surrendered? Have you done anything like him? So please perform your duty first and then let us see. So far, for realizing the self, complete surrender is required. Bhagavan says, Atma Nivedanam should be done. In that state, which is the state of Jnani, one finds all equal and he will treat all one. There will be absolutely no difference at all. There will be Sarvam Brahmamayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with a meditation on Ramanacentre Bengaluru, written by Ganapati Muni and which has been compiled in that format by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi himself. And in this verse that we are meditating, Ganapati Muni is talking about Ramana and having a conversation with Ramana and asking, Ekam Vakramumanka Vasaviraha Pano na Shakyayudam Martya Swam na Pataki Nicha Ritana Pashvadvayena Kina Vesholam Punaresha Buddhanayana Prachadhana Prachadhane Bujusham Antardhanamupaishi-tarakaripo Vastanyadayadatah Ramanaya Lokagurave Namaha Ramananige Lokaguruvige Namana Undu Mukadharisi Ume Madila Sarasi Karadim Shakyayudhava Torede Martyanagi ಧ್ವಜ ಹಿಡಿದ ದೇವಸೇನೆಯ ಪಾರ್ಶ್ವದಿಂ ಮರಸಿದೆ ವೇಷ ಹರಿಸು ಸಾಕು ಮುಗ್ಧ ಜನರ ಮರುಳುಗೊಳಿಸಿನಲಿದೆ ಮರೆಸಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವೇ ನಿನಗೆ ತಾರಕರಿಪುವೆ Ninna Sodaranda. Ganapati Muni is asking Ramana, oh Ramana, you may have come in a disguise. I know who you are because I am the one who has enjoyed the Dugdhamrita, Sanyamrita of Mother Parvati. So we both have enjoyed the very same Sanyamrita from the Mother Parvati. So I know who you are. You are my brother. But you have taken this disguise of a human form, of being a mere mortal, and you have hidden all your divine qualities. You have hidden your six faces, and you only have one face, and you have left the lap of Mother Parvati, and you have don't have that Shaktayuda in your hand, and you also have hidden all the great army, celestial army that you are leading. And this disguise may fool the eyes of innocent common man, but I know who you are, says Ganapati Muni. And when we see the life of Ramana, has Ramana really hidden his divinity? It is people who saw with their eyes, each one saw through their eyes and saw Bhagavan as their own. We see a herd of little children coming to Virupaksha cave and spending time with Ramana. They thought Ramana was one among them. He was one of their friends, and they used to play with Ramana. We have heard of stories how they used to play the game of marrying the dolls, and they used to play other games with Ramana, and sometimes simply sit meditatively in the presence of Ramana. They thought Ramana was his friend. And we have also heard of scorpions. And these, Bhagavan, when he was staying on the hill Arunachala, a scorpion was crawling slowly from the rock and it climbed on to the body of Ramana and it slowly moved down. And as soon as that went down, one more scorpion started climbing up the body of Ramana and slowly it went up and it went up on the back of the rock which Ramana was sitting, and the devotees were terrified and they asked Ramana, are you not afraid? Are you not afraid that we were afraid that whether the scorpions will stung you? And Ramana asked them, does the scorpio ever stung the rock that it walks on? And the devotees realized, oh, the Scorpios think that Ramana is a rock. And we have heard of squirrels which used to go up and down all around the body of Ramana. And the squirrels used to think Ramana was a compassionate tree on which they could go here and there, they can go anywhere they want. And this tree which gives them the right fruit at the right time. And some devotees were envious of this and they told, oh Ramana, we are envious of these squirrels because they all get this opportunity to climb on you and go all around your body. How lucky they are. And we are so unfortunate, said the devotees. And Ramana looked at them and told, oh, they think that I am one of them. They feel free to come and go around my body. So that's why they do that. But what do you say? What do you see? You see that, oh, Bhagavan is God Himself. He is a great master. He is a great jnani. So you make me away from you. You make me distant. That's why you don't have that liberty to come and enjoy that intimacy which the squirrels enjoy. And we have heard that when the human mothers used to bring their little ones and offer their little ones to Bhagavan Ramana used to carry those little children and he used to give them back to the mother. Similarly, the monkey's mother also used to come and they offer their little ones to be patted by Bhagavan Ramana. And Bhagavan Ramana used to do the same thing what he did for the human babies, and he used to caress those little babies and give them back to the monkey mother. And the devotees questioned, Bhagavan, monkeys and other wild animals, they don't allow the humans to touch their little ones. If by accident the human beings touch their little ones, they just discard them. They don't accept them back into their family. But how is that? How is it that these monkeys bring their little ones of their own accord and give their little ones to you? And Ramana laughed and told, maybe they think I am one of them. So the monkeys thought Ramana was a huge monkey the head of their family, and they thought they had to offer their little ones and get the blessings from him. So, however, the people saw him, he appeared in that way. So, he not only appeared as human beings to human beings, he appeared as various things to various eyes. But Ganapati Muni says, but you are not that disguise which they are able to perceive with their eyes, the physical eyes. You are much more than that. In the Jnana Pata, Sadhu Swami says, whichever form we meditate on, Supreme will appear in that form. No name or form it has, pure silence consciousness. Ramana is that pure silence consciousness which is beyond name and form. But out of his compassion, whichever form we meditate on, that Supreme Being appears in that form, and so that we can relate to it and we can talk to it, and slowly that pure silence consciousness makes us realize the true nature of itself, and makes us, it reveals the true nature and makes us realize that we are also that very same pure silence consciousness. We have heard of a conversation in face to face with Ramana where a scientist, a science student comes to Ramana, and he says, "Oh, Ramana, in this Ulla the Narpada book I am reading, you say everyone is one, but I don't see any truth in this. I see clearly two people. I am sitting here and you are sitting on the couch. I see two. How can you say everything is one?" And Ramana slowly asked, "You are a science student, so you should be familiar with the experiments that you do in the science lab. So you have heard, you usually do the you should do the observation through instruments like microscope, and you realize that if the microscope is not proper, then you understand that the image that you see will not be right, right? Okay, then the microscope is proper, it is correct, but you have some problem with your eyes, you have an eyesight issue, then will you be able to see the image properly? The science student told no. Okay, even if the microscope is right, even if your eyes is all right, but your mind is somewhere else. It is not concentrating on things that it has to see. If the mind is disturbed, will it be able to see the right image? Then the student agrees, yes, the mind is not in place, and we can't see or perceive what has to be perceived. So you understand that the instrument plays an important role in perceiving the truth. So you are working with this instrument called the physical eyes and the mind which makes this physical eyes work. So how can you believe that it is the right image that you are seeing when we turn away from this mind, this prism of mind which brings so many colors and so many varieties? When we move away from that prism and turn towards the source of that light which is shining within, and that is the Chinmayi, the mother who is shining. And when we are in the lap of that Chinmayi and drinking that milk of jnana, that milk of pure consciousness that she is giving to all the children, when we drink that with Ramana, who is ever abiding in the self, ever abiding in that Chinmayi, and drinking that milk, we will realize the true nature of Ramana as the pure, silent consciousness. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We continue with the meditation on the names in Ramana Ashtottara, the sharing by Dr. Sharda.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining is a self in all beings. By Bhagavan's immense grace, we are meditating on his 108 names composed by Vishwanatha Swami, and we are on the Nama Swarnahastakaya Namaha, and going further to Swarnahastakaya Namaha Srimadvadashanta Mahastale Labdha Vidyodayaya Namaha. We saw that Bhagavan has been described as Swarnahasta, and that one Nama actually can describe the entire life of Bhagavan. In fact, if we look at each one of the names of Bhagavan, it can describe Bhagavan entirely in a sense. And but this is a Namavali in which Vishwanatha Swami has made it in a biographical manner. He is revealing the biography of Bhagavan to us. Some salient aspects of Bhagavan's biography are being brought home to us. And one of the important aspects of Bhagavan's biography is the places with which he has been associated. And one of these places is Madurai. So here Vishwanatha Swami introduces Madurai as Dwadashanta Mahasthala. It is said that there are 12 stages of the yogic power, the fruition or the growth of the yogic power, and the last of them is the 12th. So Dwadashanta Mahasthala, Madurai is famous for fulfilling the fruition of yoga. And here it is that Bhagavan came for his education. Labdha Vidyodayaya Namaha. He came here for his education after the passing away of his father Sundaramayar when he was 12 years old. Of course, he has studied prior to that in Ditikal, but everyone associates his education, the period of his education, mainly with the Madurai years. He came to Madurai along with his elder brother Nagaswami, and these were his boyhood years, which have been documented for us in several of his biographies, where we hear about his studies, or rather his lack of interest in his studies, as it is pointed out to us, and his being playful, his being a sports person. And then Vidya, he got his Vidya here, says Vishwanatha Swami. What is the Vidya? What is all the learning? Vidya is learning basically. So, what did Bhagavan learn here at Madurai? If we try to go into that, we get some obvious answers that Bhagavan learned whatever he learned in the American Mission High School where he studied. He got a little bit of his biblical knowledge from this school of his, because it was a Christian mission high school, and he learned about the Bible and what is said in the Bible. And that would have given him an understanding of the, the teachings of Christ. And later he would tell us that the essence, the first name of God is I am. I am that I am. This comes in the Old Testament, in the Bible. God tells Moses that his name is I am. When Moses is given the message by God to carry to the people of the world, and when Moses asks, if people ask me who has given you this message, what answer should I give? And in Hebrew, he gets the answer, tell them, I am has given this message to you. I am is the first name of God. Bhagavan gives us this clue based on the Vidya that he gathered in Madurai. And he also points out a few biblical statements, the essential ones, especially be still and know that I am God. And Bhagavan says, know, not think that I am God. In this manner, we get a few essential clues into the Atma Vidya that is hidden in the Old Testament and the New Testament based on the Vidya which Bhagavan gathered at Madurai. Then what other what other things did Bhagavan learn? What was the learning that he gathered at Madurai? He of course learned some martial arts. He learned Silambatam and certain other martial arts from his friends, and he learned the usual his subjects, including the subject Tamil, and he was very good at Tamil grammar. And there is a joke which is often repeated in his biography by various speakers, especially the Tamil speakers. And the joke is that his Tamil teacher came to see him when he was in Virupaksha and posed before him some spiritual doubts. And Bhagavan joked, to avoid your questioning, I ran away from Madurai and I came here, and you have come all the way to Virupaksha cave and you're asking me questions all over again. Bhagavan had a great sense of humor. So he knew Tamil Nannul perfectly. We can now see the beauty of his Tamil poetry. We hear from those who know well about Tamil poetry, Tamil chandas, etc., that his poetry is par excellence. Of course, it is by the divine that this is happening, and it's the divine expression itself. Yet, there is a role for all the learning, and this role we find has happened or flowered or blossomed at Madurai. We also say poetically that Bhagavan learnt something. He got a Vidya, he learnt a special Vidya at Madurai that he learnt from Mother Meenakshi. The Vidya of giving Nayana Diksha, of initiating through the eyes, through the sight. That Vidya he got from Meenakshi. In one of our dance ballets, we have a poem which says that you have learned from Meenakshi, you say, the art of imparting knowledge through the sight. As the fish does, as the fish hatches its young ones by just its look, even so, the Guru brings the disciple to fruition by his look. This Vidya you have learned from Mother Meenakshi. What are you going to give her as Guru Dakshina, O Ramana? And Bhagavan, the young boy, Venkatraman says, I am going to give her the Dakshina. I am going to bring to Madurai the fame of being the city of enlightenment. The Leela of enlightenment is going to be played over here. So Vishwanatha Swami tells us in this sweet name, Srimad Dwadashanta Mahasthale Labdha Vidyodayaya Namaha. He gives significance. He introduces this glorious town of Madurai to us and says, this is where Bhagavan obtained Vidya. He got the Vidya, and soon we will know that he got in this very town the greatest of Vidyas, the greatest of knowledge, the knowledge of the self, the Atma Vidya. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We are very happy that this year we are celebrating the 125th year of Bhagavan's enlightenment at Madurai and 125 years of his advent to Arunachala. Remembering this, we continue the satsang with the chanting of Arunachala Aksharamalai by Srimati V. Radha and Vallabh. This will be followed by the Ashtottara Puja to Bhagavan. This will be chanted by Vaibhavji and Prarthana, followed by Uma and Ashwini. The puja will be conducted at Dilip Sir's altar. And the Aarti song will be chanted by Revathi Shankar. We have the Arunachala Aksharamale by Radha Ji and Vallabh.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. வீடு விட்டீர் துள விடுப்புக்கு பயவுன் வீடு காட்டினை அருளருணாச்சலா. வெளிவிட்டேன் உன் செயல் வெறுத்திடாதுன் அருள் வெளிவிட்டென்னை கா அருணாச்சலா. வேதாந்தத்தே வேரற விளங்கும் வேத பொருள் அருள் அருணாச்சலா. வைதலை வாழ்க்கா வைத்தருள் குடியா வைத்தென்னை விடாதருள் அருணாச்சலா. அம்புவில்லாலி போல் அன்புரு உன்னில் என்னை அன்பா கரை தருள் அருணாச்சலா. அருணை என்றென்னை அருள் கண்ணிப்பட்டேன் உன் அருள் வல்லை தப்புமோ அருணாச்சலா. சிந்தி தருள்பட சிலந்தி போல் கட்டி சிறையீட்டுண்டனை அருணாச்சலா. அன்போடு நாமம் கேள் அன்பர்த்தம் அன்பரு கண்பனாயிட அருள் அருணாச்சலா. என் போலும் தீனரை இன்புற காத்து நீ என்னாலும் வாழ்ந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. என் புரு கண்பர்த்தம் இன் சொற்கொள் செவியும் என் பொன்மொழி கொள அருள் அருணாச்சலா. பொறுமையாம் பூதர புன் சொல்லை நன் சொல்ல பொறுத்தருள் இஷ்டம் பின் அருணாச்சலா. மாலை அணித்தருணாச்சல ரமண என் மாலை அணிந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. மாலை அணித்தருணாச்சல ரமண என் மாலை அணிந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி.
नमो रमण. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामावली अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योविमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ॐ महासेन वपुंसेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महौजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः. ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोत्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ॐ शोणाचललीमहोलीनमानसाय नमः. ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः. ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः षोडशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उदीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचलरुद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ हृच्छातिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः।
ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्याजनिं प्राप्य तद् दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादाज्ञभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट्। तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि। नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये। सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि। ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि। नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡು ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ. ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ. ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ. ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ. ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ. बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।